So Complex released their 25 most entertaining sports media personalities list. And let me tell you something, YouTubers will never truly crack this list. YouTubers will never crack this list. Now, of course, there are, I would say, exceptions to this rule, but truly there's only ever going to be one exception to this rule. We talked about this on the podcast. I want to take this as the time to just elaborate a little bit more. But, hey, Kenny Beecham is the only YouTuber that could crack this list. Kenny Beecham is the only, I'm talking about pure YouTuber, started on YouTube and then continued on YouTube. YouTube is their main platform, what they're known from, where they come from, where their bread and their butter lies. That's what I consider a YouTuber. That's what I consider a YouTuber. Kenny Beecham is going to be the only one that does this. Now, I'll tell you what, shouts out to all these people, the K Adams, the RG3s of the world, the Joy Taylors. I don't want to personally get a dig at them. I've already voiced my opinion on those people on that side of the list. I don't think that Michael Irving, first of all, if you're a moderator or you just got a show, I don't think that you should be on this list at all. Mina Kimes is okay entertaining. I don't think she should be on this list at all. I don't get how they grouped Cam and Mace here, but they separated Charles and Shaq right here. Shouts out to Shannon Sharp for beating him out. Shouts out to Shannon Sharp for being number 1 on this list. And I wanted to show this because Undisputed, their numbers are down significantly. Undisputed's numbers are down. Undisputed's numbers are down significantly in comparison to First Take. Stephen A beat Skip Bayless. Stephen A beat Skip Bayless. First Take is averaging 5 times more viewers than Undisputed per FOS, Front Office Sports. During the 2 weeks from December 27 to December 8, First Take, 581,000, drew an audience 5 times greater than Undisputed 105, according to sources. In fact, November ranked as the most watched month, 614, in the 16-year history of First Take. First Take. And I think that is the Shannon Sharp effect. That is the Shannon Sharp effect. And they've got a nice little rotation. Shannon Sharp, Pat McAfee, Stephen A. Smith, all on there. So I get that. They're doing a great thing over there. It's cool. I do think that they could have did things a little bit differently. Personally, I would have loved to see Knuckleheads, Ocho Cinco, All the Smoke be on here more. If they're going to do the Pivot podcast or I Am Athlete, some more football-based shows. I mean, there's a bunch of other people. But what I saw when I scrolled down this list is traditional media still. And I saw a lot of ex-athletes dominate this list. Ex-professionals. We're gonna count how many ex-athletes. 1, 2. I'll count them as 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 of the 25 are all former athletes. And this is why I think YouTube will not be taken seriously in this light. 15 out of the 25. That's a dominating number. That's a number in dominating fashion. And there's argument that they missed some athletes that should have been there. I'm not counting Stephen A. Smith in his college basketball career. I'm talking about professional athletes, known professional athletes. 60%. That's dominating fashion. And I think personally, going forward, that is the meta for all of these things. That is the meta for all of these lists going forward, or for media sports jobs. We thought as YouTubers, commentators, or et cetera, hey, you know, we'll build our own platforms, YouTube, Twitch it out, Twitter space it out, podcast it out. We will be able to set up shop, and we'll be able to, you know, tell good enough stories to where they'll take us serious one day. We'll get noticed by ESPN one day. But what we didn't realize is these guys started looking up to Shaq and Ernie, Chuck and Ernie, Kenny and Ernie. They started looking up to Terry Bradshaw and some of the older football guys, the Michael Strahan, some of the older football guys that are on like Fox and stuff like that. I forgot Eli and Peyton aren't even on this list right here. So we forgot that they were going to start doing that. Hell, WNBA coverage is pretty much exclusively all ex-athletes. NBA coverage is pretty much the same way. And they're moving to the point where even the moderator used to be somebody who was at least like, okay, this is a non-athlete, somebody with some journalistic abilities. No, they're going to move to that even being ex-athlete. And so it's going to be even harder for the YouTuber to break into that space, because there are way too many ex-athletes that are entertaining, charismatic, have marketed themselves enough while they were playing. They have the stories, they have the network, all that stuff to put themselves in these situations. And I'll break the fourth wall a little bit. And those will be the people who continuously get these opportunities to thrive in these places and spaces. Now, that's number one. That's one reason right there. The number two reason is because YouTubers do not do the things necessary in order to make themselves known, visible spaces, or known invisible faces in this industry. Think about it. I'll go on YouTube right now, and if I type in some of these people's channels, some of these people legitimately just started turning on their face cam last week. I know that sounds crazy. That legitimately sounds crazy. Some of these people legitimately started turning on their face cam last week. And that's why they will not be successful. That's why they will not be successful. Because, I would love to market you. I would love to market you. But the question is, who are you? The name that comes to mind, and there's no disrespect to these guys, Swish Out, W Creator,
the Kevin Durant,
great numbers, pull some good numbers here. No face. No face throughout all of his video. It's NBA footage over NBA footage. It's NBA footage over NBA footage. That's legitimately all we see. Is NBA footage on top of NBA footage. So the main draw of your stuff, have you ever built an audience? Have you ever really built a community? Because you just don't have a face. You just don't have a face. Another one, and again, no shade here. Good content. Double D. No face. Just NBA footage on top of NBA footage. So at that point, how can you market yourself? How can you market yourself when, I got an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. I got an opportunity for you. And now I'm trying to put a name to a face. And I can't even, I'm trying to reach out to the double D. That person could be anybody. I would, come on now. I would never do that. I would never do that. Think about it. You have a job position where somebody needs to be customer facing. And I think this is just a general about content creation. I think this is a general thing about content creation in general. There is a cap when you do not show your face. And when you do not show your face, you hurt your opportunities for growth and marketability. You hurt yourself for growth and marketability. Yo, I got great information from this guy. This guy should be at this level. This guy should be at that level. But who is he? Who is he? Who is he? And hey, there are certain situations in which that doesn't exist. You can reach you can reach specific heights. But for general speaking, those faces in those spaces, you need to have a marketable face. I need to be able to show the world something. I need to be able to show the world something. Shouts out to Cooper18 for subscribing on the YouTube side. Yeah, we need to see something. We need to see something. And then another thing that NBA YouTubers don't do is they don't go out there and they don't network like they're supposed to. They don't go out there and it's because it's a part of the not showing their face, but they don't network like they're supposed to. They literally do not show their faces like they're supposed to. They sit behind the camera. Everything is supposed to come to me. I'm going to get discovered one day, and then that's how I'm supposed to get the brand deal. That's not how these things work. That's not how these things work. These brand deals, these opportunities, they're just not going to come to you. So I'm going to break down the fourth wall a little bit for you right here. We have an established podcast. Let's Keep It a Buck is an established podcast. And there are some opportunities that we're missing out on. But it's because we do not do the best job of going out there, putting ourselves in front of these people. Some of these companies have a massive, massive, massive marketing budgets. But because nobody knows us, but because people do not know us the way that they know some of these other people, we'll get skipped over every single time for job opportunity, brand opportunity, sponsorship opportunity, whatever you want to say, opportunities. There are certain things, even, hey, we have different promotions going out for different podcasts where this is what they rather do. They would rather put the money behind a different created thing because that's what they know. Hey, we're going to newly create something with 2 faces, 3 faces, 4 faces that we already know, put them together and have them do a podcast, have them do a show, and we'll put our names on that, as opposed to going to an already established platform and having them be the official partner of X, Y, and Z. The Splash Sisters. Oh, wow. I'm thinking of, and I don't want to say failed, but not so successful platforms. That's exactly what they do. Splash Sisters is one of them. You know what I'm saying? Splash Sisters is one of them. Some of these failed or, underachieving NBA or other player podcast, NFL player podcast. Let me see how good Theo Pinson stuff is doing before I just throw his name out there. But they would legitimately rather go out there. If I'm a long time, I don't know, Atlanta Hawks ticket holder, season ticket holder. I've got a company. This company has a $30 million valuation. We want to go ahead and we want to push our content out to the masses more. Through the meet and greets over the past 10 years, I've been in contact with John Collins, right? I've been in contact with John Collins. I might say to John Collins, you've been in the league for a long time. Let's get you a podcast. We'll pay you X amount of dollars a month to do this podcast, do these ad reads for this podcast. You're just going to tell your story. You're just going to tell your story on this podcast. You're going to have some of your friends on there, whatever the case may be. Now, John Collins got some fans. John Collins does have some fans. But guess what? Don't nobody want to hear John Collins' podcast? Like, what the fuck? Don't nobody want to hear John Collins' podcast, dude. But they would rather do that because that's who they see and that's who they know, as opposed to going to specific podcasts or platforms that are already established because they just don't know them. Just like you and I. There's somebody out there that does what I do. They just do it at a top 10 level. I do not know them. So unless somebody puts them in front of me.
I was with you my last 2 seasons.
My bad. Unless somebody puts them in front of me, why would I ever come to you? Pause. Why would I ever come to you? I look at things like, and I could be reading this wrong. Like, I don't know who's sponsoring or who's backing Trae Young's podcast, this From the Point thing. But this is something that should have, like, legitimately never been a thing. This is something that should have never been a thing. Truly, this should have never. When I say never been a thing, I don't think Trae Young's podcast should have ever been a thing. However, I'm looking at this over here, and they're getting backed by Bleacher Report. This is on the Bleacher Report official page. The one with 3.67 million views. And why am I seeing Trae Young getting pushed on Bleacher Report?
Trey, what's your opinion on what if Trae Young never got hurt in Game 3 of the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals?
Man.
Trae Young isn't even necessarily consistent enough.
Welcome back.
Trae Young isn't. They have a whole episode on here. Trae Young isn't even necessarily consistent enough. I'm going to keep it 100 to get this, to get the Bleacher Report nod, to get the Sprite nod, to get all these things. But it's because they know him. He already has the connection. So, Trae Young's on HBO Max now? Like, come on, what are we doing? Cool, what are we doing? He just doesn't even have the consistency. He doesn't have the viewership. He doesn't have the fan base. Look at this. We're talking about on a platform that has, and somebody, I know somebody's gonna hate when they see this clip. They're gonna say, "Oh, Omar's hating." This is a platform with 3.67 million subs. This video got 5.6 thousand views in 2 days. That math does not make sense. That math legitimately does not math. And unless you're telling me they just don't pull numbers anymore, which it doesn't look like that. From 6 hours ago, I'm seeing other, and this is news, but I'm seeing other clips and stuff that they have on here pull way more views. Pull way more views. This is From the Point, 5.6, but pull way more views surrounding it. That just lets me know. That literally just lets me know that they're pushing this guy based off of the connections and not based off of the ability to create content.